Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Paula. Okay, so now I've been talking for 2 minutes and 15 seconds with no sound. Oh, yay. Whoa, what fun. What I was saying, Robert and Paula, and anyone else who finds us again, is I just got done saying, you heard me say, I should not touch the camera or turn the camera. I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense that if you just turn that device, that somehow it loses its Wi-Fi signal and dies. But it happens that way. It's happened at church, and it's happened here several times, and every time I say, oh, it won't do it, because it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing that would happen. But yeah, for some reason, if you touch that camera in any way, if you turn it in any way, it loses connection. That makes no sense whatsoever. So, user error, my fault, apologies. I told you that I shouldn't do that, and then I did. You can see Daisy in the... Oh, yeah, there she is. Well, she moved, so you can see her now. Yeah, she's right. There she is. There's Daisy down there for you. She's... maybe she'll roll in the grass back there. She does like to roll in the grass right over there. So, yeah, Daisy, enjoy yourself. As we were saying, oh, to be a dog. Yes, so I am human. Yes, this is like the Garden of Eden, right? Don't touch that apple. That's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we do as human beings. All right, friends. I know that others have not found us again, but I do feel the urgent need to move on and go ahead and talk about the world and what's been happening. I do want to brag on Kessler Park a bit. This is a picture from Saturday at Kessler Park. We were honored to host a graduation, a GED graduation for the graduates at Wilkinson Center. And you see all those people in their black graduation robes, 60 graduates, 60 GED graduates from the Dallas area who worked really hard. And hey, hello, Summer and Cody. Who is that? Hi, Cody. How you doing? 60 graduates that worked really hard to get their GED, and we hosted their graduation. We have other volunteers who help out at Wilkinson Center from time to time. We are really honored to be connected with them. So that was a cool, fun thing that happened. And then on Sunday night, I attended, as did some visitors to Kessler Park from last week. We attended what was called a Pride celebration at the end of Pride Month. Pride Month is ending. And we celebrated and lamented what has been going on in our United Methodist Church. You see speaking here my dear friend and Shiro, Jane Grainer, who is pastor at a church in Duncanville currently, and is the first ordained out lesbian pastor in the entire South. Don't let the colors fade. Thank you, Michael. That was our theme. And I've been a colleague of Jane's for many years as she moved through this process, and it was honored to have her acknowledge that. It's very, very. I'm very proud of what she has accomplished. And yeah, you are lucky. She's a great pastor, isn't she, Michael? And then, of course, Greg Neal, who some of you know is the pastor of Lakewood United Methodist Church and is also an out gay man. And it's just some of the very positive things that are happening in the North Texas Conference. I can't promise you that more negative things won't happen, but I was really happy to be there, and we were very excited to participate in that. Now, on to the bad news, and this is the first thing. This is the meme that I put out this week, and I mean every single word of this. This pastor will marry you, that's Pride Month, and support you as you access reproductive health care. That's a message that apparently I have to keep saying, and that we have to keep saying over and over, and that we have to keep coming back to, because Nothing is ever fixed. No right is ever completely secure. And if you think so, then you have bought into the myth of progress. You've heard me talking about the myth of progress here on Coffee on the Porch from time to time. It is a lethal, dangerous myth, the myth of progress, which says that we go in an onward and upward straight direction. So I fully support women. I'm deeply, deeply troubled by this Roe v. Wade decision. But that's not the only decision I'm troubled by. There was a decision, as the Bryants pointed out, maybe they'll jump back on. There was a Miranda decision that has happened that's very, very disturbing. There was a decision on prayer. and I got to tell you, I'm not a constitutional scholar, so I don't want to speak on the constitutionality of these things. But I know as a Christian, I don't need anybody to give me the right to pray. I don't. That feels like performative law and performative Christianity. And I wonder how they square this with the teachings of Jesus to pray in secret. How does that work? I ask you. So I am disturbed by all of this, and it's all a part of this very, very troubling conservative turn in the Supreme Court that really does appear to have a theocratic base to it. Many of their decisions appear to have a theocratic... Okay, they're going to start the banging here in a minute, I can tell. It's going to get really loud. The theocratic judgments. I mean, how else do you square some of this stuff? The abortion ruling, the prayer ruling, and what else might be out there. I don't mean to scare you, and I get mad when I get angry when leaders are too, hyperbolic about our situation in the world. But we are in a bad place. We are in a bad place. We have to name that. We have to live into the pain of that and the trouble of that. Who's with you, Cody? Is it Summer and is it Tina? Who's watching, by the way? So I do want to talk specifically about the Roe v. Wade decision. And I want to, our dear friend, we've known Eric Moyer for decades now, and Judge Moyer, who used to live near the church, pointed this out. And this is a point not to miss here. Whatever you think of the legal precedent and reasoning or whatever, this appears to be factually true. When he first said this, I did not believe it, but it appears to be factually true that never before in the history of the Supreme Court has the Supreme Court taken away an existing right from a group of Americans. Now, they have reaffirmed people not having rights before. Plenty of racist, sexist decisions of the past. But never before have they taken an existing right away as they did in this situation. That should trouble everybody, I would think. The second thing, in this morning, I am going to talk to you a lot about my sermon from Sunday, which you can now watch online, by the way. Oh, I thought I did. Yeah, I got the link here, if I can copy it. Oops. Well, it's going to start playing it on my computer. I don't really mean for that to happen. Let me close that window out. Get back to you. Post and enter. There. If you want to, you can find the entire sermon right there at that link, which I just posted to you. I felt it was important to really talk about these issues and to talk about why I'm a pro-choice Christian. I've talked about this before here on Coffee on the Porch, but I do want to get into some of it. It's in the sermon. The sermon's an hour long. I think I can condense some of it here this morning. Robert Berger points this out. We don't want a theocratic country. Israel is, and as a Reformed Jew, we are discriminated against. 100%, Robert. I appreciate you saying that too. I think we need to understand that every faith has different components to it, different parts to it, different traditions within it. And those traditions don't always necessarily agree with one another. As I have tried to say many times, I often find myself in more social agreement, alignment with progressive members of other faiths, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, atheist, than I do with evangelical Christians. And evangelical Christians and myself and progressive Christians share common language, but we interpret that language very, very differently. We understand the meaning of our faith very, very differently, and it's really important for people to understand that. So that said, let me talk about some of this stuff, and let me start with this assertion, since it has been Pride Month and it continues to be Pride Month for a few more days, that the modern Christian church has tried to shame women on abortion the same way they've also tried to shame LGBTQ persons. The modern church has tried to shame women the same way that they have tried to shame LGBTQ persons. What do I mean by that? I mean that a lot of the, in the past, and really even into the present, a lot of the evangelical theology on gay people is all about how gay people are bad and wrong, and if you're gay, you're going to hell, and it's against God's word. We had a pastor, I'm going to name it, right over here, at Munger United Methodist Church. He's no longer there, but he used to tell gay people privately that being gay was not their best life, I think was the way he said it. Well, that's a soft way of saying a very hard and cruel message, in my view. So, but many Baptist church, of course, have gone much farther. You know, the pastor of First Baptist Church has recently said gay is not okay, right, in a sermon. That's been the last couple years. So, of course, many of us don't believe that. Many of us believe that's wrong-headed and harmful and hurtful, and it causes a gay person, often it can cause gay people to have a shame-based reaction about their life and their choices. In my view, I think, especially in our modern period, the evangelical church has done the exact same thing about abortion. Abortion is already a hard moral choice. Even on the best day, you take away everybody else's opinion and you just ask a woman about abortion and her choice, and she is going to have wrestling with that. Not because it's wrong, but because it's complicated. And complicated moral decisions cause us anxiety. And the political right and the religious right understand that, and so they want to simplify these things in their view, but it's in ways that are super harmful to people and super harmful to their lives. So I think search your feelings and see if this isn't true, that there is an attempt to shame women the exact same way that gay people once were shamed. Now, the gay folks aren't taking it anymore. The queer community is not taking it anymore. They're fighting back. Many of them have left the church and said a big up yours to the entire Christian community. I'm going to need more coffee. And, I think there's a lot of women out there doing the same thing. So I think that's out there, and that's one of the unhealthy things the modern church has done. Let me show you this. I mentioned this in the sermon, but here's the facts that I was talking about in that sermon. Factually, it is known in surveys that have been done that Catholics and evangelical Christians have abortions at higher rates than mainline Protestants. Excuse me. Catholics and evangelical Christians, I want to say this again, have abortions at higher rates than evangelical Protestants. And then look at this last bullet point. Planned Parenthood, just in their own analysis, has found that nearly half of all abortions are for women who describe themselves as born-again Christian or Catholic. What's going on here? What's going on here is that self-perpetuating shame. They know they need this in their life anyway. They're going to do it in their life anyway. But it's going to harm them in terms of the self-shame of themselves and of their partners. As I tried to say on Sunday, my eyes were opened over the past several decades in several long-term conversations that I had with men, pro-life men, who had been partners of women who had gotten abortions. And it was very eye-opening to me to see how self-hating they were of their own decision and the guilt and shame that they carried years later. Rather than say, we made the right choice, I made the right choice, they completely bought into the evangelical theology on abortion and have convinced themselves that they'd done something shameful and that the woman had done something shameful. So this is the harm that the theology is doing. Now, I need you to understand the history of abortion, just briefly. And that is that for many, many centuries, many Christians, especially Protestant Christians, believed that life began at quickening. What is quickening? Well, it's a bit mysterious. It's the time when the fetus begins to move in the womb. Generally thought to be between 16 and 20 something weeks, 22, 24, as late as 26 weeks in some cases. 16 at a very low end, 16. Many Christians for many centuries, that's what they believed, that you could not say that a fetus was alive. I'm looking here to see my power. Oh, good. I'm using a battery to power the computer for the first time, and it seems to be working okay so far. Many Christians believed that life began at quickening. They did not believe that life began at conception. And I have some factual data on this. In our United Methodist tradition, this is what John Wesley once said. John Wesley was talking in his sermon on a new birth. He was comparing actual physical birth to spiritual birth. That's what he was doing. But he talked about physical birth in the sermon. And this is what he said about a fetus in a womb. To that manner of existence which he then has, we do not even give the name of life. We do not give the name of life to fetus in a womb. It is only when a person is born that we say that they begins to live. That is John Wesley. in a sermon. And that is a sermon that Methodists are supposed to believe is doctrine, is Methodist doctrine. So again, I don't myself, I do believe that it is legitimate. You know, I think the third trimester is squishy. I'll just be honest, morally squishy. And I think the concern about the third trimester is we need to pay attention to that, and we need to pay attention to doctors and nurses who tell us this, some of which may be watching this morning. At the same time, so I don't know that I can agree with life begins at birth, but what I know this means 100% is no way does human life, human existence as a person with rights, begin at conception. I know in my bones that is a lie. And we got to say that plainly. Let me tell you the final mind-blowing word, and this is from a little gentleman that some of you know named W.A. Criswell. I'm about to show you a quote that's going to frickin' rock your world. W.A. Criswell lived right over here. I can literally almost see his house from here, over on Swiss Avenue. For decades was the pastor of First Baptist Church. As you know, First Baptist Church, he was the head of this Southern Baptist Convention. First Baptist Church was considered the lead church, really, in the conservative movement when evangelicals made their deal with the Republican Party during the time of Ronald Reagan. There was a deal made with Jerry Falwell, with W.A. Criswell, with others like that, to merge the interests of evangelical Christianity and the interests of the Republican Party into what can only be called a theocratic understanding of faith and politics. That was intentionally done. W.A. Criswell said this. This is a quote that he said after the Roe v. Wade decision was released, my friends. This is W.A. Criswell, and I quote, "I have always felt that it was only after a child was born and had life separate from its mother that it became an individual person, and it has always, therefore, seemed to me that what is best for the mother and for the future should be allowed." Take a screenshot of that, friends, or go Google it for yourself. That is an absolutely true, legitimate quote from W.A. Criswell, the pastor of First Baptist. And my point in saying this is this. Catholics have always understood that life begins at conception. That it's why they have their weird views on birth control as well. Everybody else, mainline Protestants and evangelical Protestants alike, did not affirm, did not believe that life begins at conception. And so theologically, if you believe life begins at conception, then you are obligated to believe that abortion is murder. That's the logical twist, theological twist that must take place. So that's where it came from, and it is very recent that this has happened, that evangelicals have shifted to pro-life. Only the last few decades, the last 3 to 4 decades, has this become a dramatic shift in evangelical theology. Here's what the United Methodist Church says about abortion. This is our position, which apparently is now at odds with the law of the United States. We say, among other things, that we support the legal option of abortion under proper medical procedures by certified medical providers. Now, in our defense, in defense of others who will say, but, we say other things. We say that it's a hard and regrettable decision. We say that it should be made in consultation with medical providers. That we say that adoption should be considered. I don't have any problem with a woman considering her options. Really don't. But we do say this quote that's right up here, right there, that we support the legal option under proper medical procedures. That's what we say. So, friends, well, let me get that off of there because I don't want to go. I don't want to go there just yet. You see this graphic where I'm going to go with this stuff. Look, it's painful, it's challenging, it's difficult, it's hard. All of this is hard. All right, you guys aren't making many comments, so I don't know how you're feeling about all this. But we don't want, Robert is absolutely right in his comment, we don't want a theocratic country. Israel is, and religious minorities are discriminated against in a theocratic country. My religious views would be, even as a Christian, would be discriminated against under a theocratic America led by an evangelical theology. You're all taking it in. That's probably right. So we're in a bad place, friends, and I don't mean to. I can't sugarcoat this. Bakari Sellers, yes, thank you. Bakari Sellers corrected pro-life to pro-fetus. 100% they are. Those push the agenda are not helping the child once born. Of course they're not. Healthcare, poverty, education, etc. We're listening because it's what we need to hear. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm just, since the stream lost, I started to worry everybody had gone away again. But Elizabeth, you're 100% correct. And to their credit, there are some evangelicals, and I'm going to give them this limited credit. There are some evangelicals who have what they call a whole life position. And they say, yes, I am anti-abortion, but I'm also pro-education, healthcare, etc. I have a limited respect for that view. I still don't agree with it, but it's more morally consistent than the classic evangelical pull yourself up by your bootstraps position, which would ban abortion as we have done, but also ban public health care and education. So that's an inconsistent position, saying those things together. So we're in a bad place. We have this Supreme Court, and we're going to have it for a while. And I don't know what women are going to do. I was very hopeful. I guess I still have to be hopeful that women are going to rise up and vote against this. It's going to take the voting against this. I know that progressives are often not happy with the Democratic Party. I'm going to say this very bluntly. I have super large problems with the Democratic Party and how they run things and how they choose candidates and where they choose to spend money. I'm super pissed that for decades they have come into Texas, taken money out of Texas to other states. That is a part of why we're in the position that we're in, 100%. That said, when it comes time to vote, it's going to be a binary choice. It's going to be a binary choice at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. Do you want to vote for a Republican Party who in their platform puts out all this stuff, or are you going to choose to vote Democratic? I don't know. I don't know what women will do. I know that 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. That's what I know. And I know an even larger percentage of white men voted for Donald Trump. I know that if women decided, if all the women who said they were pro-choice voted against the Republican Party, that things would change. I know that. That is 100% provable based on the polling data. What I don't know is if it's going to happen, and I'm going to show you this, and I hope this does not offend anyone, but this was a meme that it seemed to me has some truth behind it. We need to very carefully remember our situation we were in back in 2016 when Hillary Clinton told all of the nation that what Donald Trump would do, because it's what Donald Trump said he would do. Donald Trump was the first president ever to say out loud that he would appoint justices to overturn Roe v. Wade. He said it out loud before the 2016 election. I think a lot of people just didn't believe him. And because, I don't know, they didn't like Hillary. I don't know. I can't read people's minds. But they did not vote for Hillary Clinton, as you know. Or, well, I mean, she won the frickin' election. She just didn't win the... We don't have to go back over that. The point is, that's where it started. It's a long, horrible ride that we have been on here for the past 6 years to get us to this moment. I had somebody the other day who was trying to tell me it's because Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't retire. I think that's ridiculously naive. I think she probably should have retired, now in retrospect. But it's super naive. The inflection point that happened in the world was the election of Donald Trump. And the people who want a theocratic society like the one in The Handmaid's Tale. Look, maybe people are offended by this meme. I think this meme tells you everything you need to know. And if you are a woman out there and you are frustrated by this decision, then vote your interests in the fall. That's all I can tell you. I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you to vote for your interests. Vote for your interests. Yeah. Don't vote against them, because that's what you've done for years. It's what white women have done for years. So that's out there. Now, I did this other meme, and this was based... So I heard the pain and the anger of women for several days, but I also heard a lot of true rage from women. So I posted this meme, and I said, looks like women are organizing for November. And I got some pushback. I don't know if you saw that thread online, but man, not everybody liked this. Look, you got to know the context of this picture. This is a screenshot from the movie Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, need I remind you, was the first great female superhero. And you can't speak for the comics, but you can say that the films have attempted to center women in their power. And this is a picture of some women doing just that. They have been invaded by, wait for it, the United States. They have been invaded by the United States. Women have been in this picture. An island of women have been invaded by the United States. And what do they decide to do? They decide to fight back. And they are outgunned because the U.S. Army has guns and they have spears and swords. But they fight back. They fight back. And that's what you're seeing in this picture. They fight back because they were attacked. They defend themselves. So this is where we get to the point at which I remind you again that I'm not a pacifist. I'm not saying we need actual war here, but I'm saying love sometimes is a passionate, hard thing as well. Women must defend themselves, and we must support them. We who are men must support them. That has to happen. And so I can't speak for anybody who hated that meme, but I kind of liked it. All right, friends, we've been here for an hour. I didn't play a single song, and actually that may be best because I'm going to be honest with you. I cut my finger this week. I almost cut the tip of my finger off. That's half of my finger. I don't know if you can see, there's half a cut over here and half a cut over here. And I mean, it was, I it was way closer than I realized. So it's healing. I could play, but it's a little hard. So I'm going to think that maybe we needed simply to talk today. We're coming to the end of our hour, and that maybe it was more important for us to talk. Actually, I think I will do. Let me retune and do the one song. Bear with me. Let me get this. All right. The porch is nice and clean. Yeah, thank you. I cleaned it off the other week. Yeah, it was 101 the day I did that. Brilliant choice on my part to wait till the 101 degree day to clean off the porch. All right, friends, this is a song that I wanted to do the last couple weeks, and we kept running out of time. I know we're actually over time, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. The hearing starts at 12 Central. Yeah, record. Get your popcorn. They got whoever their special guest is today. This is a song I wrote at the beginning of the year, or the end of the last year. And it was mostly about COVID, I suppose. But just about everything else going on in the world. The chorus is inspired by the breathe in, breathe out that I encourage people to do so often. But the other metaphor in this song about the rock hammer, that comes from the movie Shawshank Redemption, where the lead character is falsely imprisoned for decades, and all along, while he's in that prison, he's tunneling out. He's tunneling out of that prison. They don't know it. And he's using a little rock hammer, the kind you would use just to chip away at maybe one of these little granite rocks I have here around me. You don't use it for a tunnel. It's ridiculous. But he does it day after day. He gets up again and again, no matter how depressed he was, no matter how it was stacked against him. And eventually he tunnels out. So this is called Rock Hammer to the Stone. Been a groundhog day of a year. equal parts of sadness and of fear. You hobble toward a cold and bitter end, and you worry what the coming days pretend. But every day just wake up, put rock hammer to your stone. Though it rarely breaks up, each chip leads you home. Just keep on breathing, keep on seeking, keep believing. We'll leave this grieving. It's a Sisyphean time for everyone, and we wonder when the waiting will be done. But when you find the mountain blocks your way, just take one small step every day. Every day just wake up, put rock hammer to the stone. Though it rarely breaks up, each chip leads you home. Just keep on breathing, keep on seeking, keep believing. We'll leave this grieving, and every day just wake up, put a rock hammer to the stone. Though it rarely breaks up, each chip leads you home. Just keep on breathing, keep on seeking, keep believing. We'll leave this grieving. Keep on breathing, keep on seeking, keep believing. We'll leave this grieving. Keep on breathing, keep on seeking, keep believing. We'll leave this breathing. That last line should be, we'll leave this grieving, which I sang breathing because Linda Waring wrote breathe right at that moment. And I saw that. Yes, friends, breathe. Breathe. In the midst of it all, in the midst of how crappy it all is, breathe. Don't forget to breathe. John Gorka has a great song about that. If I should forget to breathe. Anyway, look, I know it's a tough time. We're not done talking about this. There's a lot yet to come. A lot yet to come, my friends. Well, I hope you enjoyed Coffee in the Backyard. You like it back here? I'm not going to show you the garden. Not going to do it. Not going to turn the camera. I guess I'll just have to take pictures and show you pictures. I can't touch that thing. It's like nitroglycerin. Can't touch it. But anyway, kind of works pretty well back here. I was gonna move back here in August anyway because of the shade. The morning sun comes right in on the porch in the front, and you can kind of see how it's kind of shooting across the yard here. And so it's actually, ironically, a bit cooler back here in the back in the mornings. So I was planning on doing that anyway. We just did it this week. We'll probably, I'll probably set up here in the back for the rest of the summer, probably till the weather cools down, or Bobby decides not to mow his yard. All right, friends. God bless you. Breathe deeply. It's a troubling time. I cannot lie to you and say that it's not a troubling time, but I can say that all we all can do is do what we can with our little rock hammer. Breathe in, breathe out, friends. Keep the faith. Keep your faith. Come back here next week. Subscribe to the channel. I love you all. I care for you all. God bless you. Until next